Surprise! We're back. Welcome to The Way with Jazz and
Tae.
We know it's been a minute.
Sure has.
We really hope y'all haven't forgotten about us.
How could you, though?
But we decided to bring this whole thing back with a better twist than we ever had on it before.
Hopefully praying for it, but really excited to be back. Just wanting to check in with you guys and see how things are going, and also just look back at the year that we have had. As you guys know, we haven't been doing the podcast for a couple of years, but 2023 was a crazy year, so we had to recap it because, baby, we got some things we want to talk about.
Listen. And some of these things literally lasted the entire year. It was just a monthly saga.
Yeah, building this out, I was blown away because it was things were popping up and I had to Google to say did this happen in 2023? And it did.
Literally. So before we jump into pop culture, we're definitely going to give you guys some high-level updates on what's been going on with us, traveling, personal lives, professional, and just what this podcast is going to look like moving forward.
Let's get into it. So who's kicking it off?
I feel like you should start, but with some of the stuff that, there's going to be some overlapping things, so I can tap in where I need to. But I would say high level, let's talk about you. You've got some pretty amazing goals to talk about.
Boo.
There's it's a nuance. There's a lot to that, boo. But yes.
Absolutely. Let me be grateful. I'm learning that now. I'm not learning it now, but I just am trying to practice it also.
I think 2023 was a year of some of my highest highs, coupled with lowest lows.
It was a very interesting year.
No real mellow. It was very, very up and very, very low.
Absolutely. I actually made a recap video, and if you want to check out my Instagram, you can see the recap video of all my travel. As you guys know, I like to travel. That's something that I do. I like to take videos and do all of that. And so but without getting too deep into it, I guess I could, I went through a little bit of a rough year this year, and just putting that video together was so therapeutic for me because it really reminded me that 2023 was actually a movie also. You turned 30, Megan turned 30. We went to Houston a couple of times.
Yeah.
We saw Beyonce at Renaissance. We went to One Music Fest. We went to Blast Fest. We were on a boat. I was outside in pools.
Oh my God.
Summer. Honestly.
That's right.
Honestly, there was a lot of great things that happened in 2023. And I think that some of my bad times really clouded the fact that life was good, honestly, last year, for real.
That's a very good point, because even when you were in Seattle visiting for my birthday, something popped off with your house during then, and it's just
yes.
you I can't even have this weekend. I can't even have this.
Girl, I'm adapting so much. So kind of a perfect segue. One of the things that I accomplished in 2023 was I bought a house finally. So woo. Yes, baby. That was the energy we had back in April. And I still do have that same energy. As you guys know, probably around the last times that we were actually recording, probably two or so years ago, I was in the process of looking for a house, and I almost closed on a house, but decided not to until kind of stop my search. So I stopped the search for a couple of years. And then, I don't know, I saw this house in April, and I've really been looking more towards having a long-term investment property and renting it out and Airbnb-ing it out, and just kind of having that as a income. So this house kind of fell in my lap, fully furnished, newly renovated, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Don't love its location because it's on a busy street, but I was for my purposes, I think it would fit.
Yeah. And it has a huge yard. The backyard
is
and
insane.
Beautiful.
I have pet deer. Okay, I've named her Princess Doana and her baby, baby Doe. But so yeah, that's like it's been a very interesting accomplishment because it was something I wanted to do for a very long time. And now that I have it, I'm now in that transition of like, okay, so I wanted to buy a home, I now have a home, and now all the things I'm learning from even that. So, you know, there's been a ton of issues with the house, but it's interesting. I even had an issue this morning like that I had to deal with. And I think that
okay, but you're Bob the Builder, okay?
I was gonna say today really taught me like, baby, you are not new to this at this point. You are true to this, because the way I handled it, I was like, you know what? Okay, I already know what it is. I've been trying to learn as like different people have come through and talked to me so that I can do some of this stuff on my own. So, you know, like I had a very scary situation this morning, and I just was like, you know what? I kind of picked myself up by my bootstraps and I fixed the problem on my own. And I'm gonna be honest, like that's the way I needed to come into 2024 about this house, because it had me down for majority of 23 towards the end.
She's a homeowner. You've crossed that threshold. You're like, you know what? I'm in it at this point.
Girl, I don't know if it's been good or bad. Like it's been a very interesting like process situation, because everyone has been like, oh, that's just home ownership, welcome to home ownership. And I'm like, that does not make me feel better.
Yeah, you can't just say, oh, well, welcome to the club. Like that's gonna make it any better.
Yeah, like I could have just kept renting at this point. Ghetto. But I will say, like, I've got a lot of ideas. I'm very excited. I think if I just had a little bit more cash flow, I'd be even more excited. So that's the house. It's not all bad, but like we're making it through it. We're going to see what 2024 has in store. And then, you know, I can always sell it if I want. Things get really like bad.
I didn't buy a house last year. Hopefully I will be buying a house in 2024.
You're absolutely going to buy a house in 2024.
So I'm going to be hitting you up. What to look for, what not to look for.
Just get a house that's older than the 80s. Or newer than the 80s, my bad.
Newer than the 80s. When was your really house
like the 60s.
Oh.
My house is very old.
When you think about it, like I don't think of the 60s as being that old, but like we're less than 30. No, we're 30 something years before it's 100 years old. It's almost 100 years old.
It's about 50 years. But the thing is, like, so that is really old in house years. Like it starts to have a whole lot of problems at 50 years, but also it's held up for 50 years. So it's like, you know, it's going to be cool, but like definitely get something new. Like honestly, 2000s or newer.
Oh, okay.
New construction.
Okay. I'm going to add that to I don't know about new construction out here because the Seattle market, hello.
True.
New construction, that's going to be a mill.
Where are you looking are you going to be looking in Seattle?
We're looking in like King County. So we've decided that like, we're probably not we really don't want to end up in Kent Federal Way, but like that's our limit. Like we'll do it, but we don't want to go any farther than that.
I see. Kent might be not be bad for new construction.
Well, like just in our research, like in what we've been looking at and just like in the estimated like price range, most of like the criteria that we want, like something with like a yard and like the house rooms and bathrooms, we're probably going to end up somewhere in Kent Federal Way, like realistically. I would love to find that closer, but like if we're going to find something that's hitting all of our boxes, it's going to end up being probably like south of Seattle.
That sounds about right. So we need to back up because there was a whole lot of we. Who is this we that we speak of? You're just gonna sneak that in there as if our listeners know.
You know, so I got myself a little girlfriend.
But they probably already know.
I mean, like, right. The podcast doesn't know. Like, it's been a minute since, like, the last time we were on the podcast, I was still my single shit, dealing with all that fuckery. Like, you know, live and learn. But this angel came out of nowhere and swept me off my feet, and it's been a little over a year now that we've been rocking with each other. So we're making plans for our future together.
Look at that, buying houses with babe.
I'm saying
2 years, you guys. Look at the growth. We've changed so much, evolved, and like we're living whole lives,
you know. Like it's just like, it's so crazy because I've always just ever expected to like do these types of things like alone, or just that's just how it's been for me. Like I don't really need to rely on or like, you know, do that with somebody else. And so it's like it's really nice having that, and like the security also that comes with it too. Like I think for me and my mindset is just like I've never been secure. I've always been just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it my own, because I'm not gonna leave myself. I'm not gonna like fuck with myself. And like having a partner here who's on the same tip as you, it's just like, oh, you know what, I can lean into this and I feel good about this. And yeah, so it's, yeah, that's definitely something that we're planning on doing. So
I feel that it's very interesting. I feel like I lost my train of thought. But I am very happy for you. You guys
it'll
seem
come
so
back
happy
to you.
And so cute. Girl, no, that's gone. It wasn't a full thought, that's why. At all.
Yeah, no, she's great. Things have been really good. You know, I never, like, I don't know, I just, not that I wasn't looking for a relationship, but like I just kind of feel like maybe I didn't expect like for a relationship like this to like happen the way that it did. And so that's kind of where I was like, you know, I don't like, I wasn't trying to lean into it at first. You know, I was like, no, let me just do this and let me practice dating and all of this. And no, I didn't stand a chance. Not at all.
But they always say that you always find somebody when you least expect it or when you're not looking. And so
yeah, no, literally fell into my lap.
I like that. So I'm just gonna stop trying.
No, literally, I'm saying you just have to like, and it's one of those situations where it's like you'll be like, oh wait, are you flirting? Do you like me? You're flirting with me?
Oh,
you want to hang out with me?
No,
you want to continue to hang out with me?
So I'm gonna tell my lady that my therapist Jasmine said that I don't have to be out here in these streets. So not that she did say that, those are not her words.
Right.
Let me not say that, but
your therapist is telling you to be a hoe.
No, she's not telling me to be. But she's telling me to date, and I'm like, I don't really want to do it. Yeah. So I'm using this as my excuse to not do that.
I mean, and it's just like you could even, I don't know how to explain it too, but it's just like you could literally end up just being out doing something that you enjoy. Like you're in a space doing something that you like doing, and oh, there's a man here who's also in this same space because he enjoys doing the same kind of stuff that I do, and he's giving me eyes, and oh, he bought me a drink or something. Wow, this could be the start of something new. Like you guys already know you like, you know. Are people not buying drinks in Atlanta?
Oh, they do, but
no.
We're just in different places in relationships. I'm going to skip over mine because it's a little bit depressing, and I'm not trying to bring the pod down right now. Okay. Like we cannot, we can't have the comeback show on that, but
no,
it's weird out here. That's all I know.
Well, let's talk about some travel plans then.
Absolutely.
Where did you go last year?
Before we go there, because that's going to be kind of like an in-depth one, I wanted to go professional real quick.
Period.
I just wanted to kind of like bring it full circle, like of 2023, things that were happening. And I did have a work transition, and it's very interesting. I wanted to bring it back here because I feel like a lot of people that I know, including you, have had work transitions in 2023. So I thought it was like kind of important to talk about. It's like been very weird. I feel like in just like the job market itself, like a lot of people are getting laid off, and I definitely know that a lot of people are recouping from pandemic, I guess.
It's crazy because it's like it's been so long, but like I do understand how that can mess a lot of people up. Like there are a lot of companies that I know who are still, their job is still transitioning people into the office from like
office.
Yeah. So like it's been 4 years. I get
it. And all the extra expenses, but yes. So yeah, so everybody had some kind of work transition or was going through something with their jobs. And I actually was laid off at Liberty Mutual, but rehired. And honestly, for me, it was very weird because it was one of those things where like I was laid off, and normally you would get like frantic and be worried about it. But I really think I was like, I don't know, I took the time to kind of like take stock of like what I was doing. And you know, like I've always really wanted to do my freelance services and stuff like that. So I really like vamped up my website and like was working on, trying to work on my UGC content, staying out and like going on walks and things, and just staying busy, but also like applying within Liberty as well. And that actually I ended up getting a new position in the marketing department, which I felt like was one of those moments where it was like, you think that this is going to be so bad. This is, I don't want to say like end you, because that feels dramatic, but like, like when you lose your job, you're stressed. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Blah,
no,
blah, blah.
exactly.
But where I ended up, it's just like, wow. I don't know how else to put it, but like, I'm gonna go religious, like won't he will, because it's like I ended in a better spot than I was before, especially for my career path.
It aligns a lot more.
Absolutely.
For
absolutely. Sure. So I don't know, again, 2023, like weird year for me. Like I feel like I got in touch spiritually. Like I was really praying in 2023, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And like God held me down the whole way. I don't know how I made it through. I'm gonna be honest with y'all with this house. Like
you got tested for sure.
Everything was being thrown at me. And like, let me not be so selfish, but I feel like I know a lot of people who everything was being thrown at them in 2023. Like it was a very hard year for some people. Yeah. But I yield the floor.
Well, was I say, what they say? Just be grateful you have a job, or just be thankful you have a job?
And like, honestly,
a lot of people, it's hard out here. I get it. It really is. Yeah.
And just like I said at the very beginning, I'm really trying to practice that being grateful, because things are not going great, but like I'm very blessed to have the things that I have.
You have a roof over your head. You've got, another thing, and this is before, I don't want to get too far off topic, but Saba and I, a really good friend, Saba, I randomly texted her not too long ago about like car privilege, or just like,
right though,
like I've never, since I've gotten my license and like been driving, I've never really ever had to go without like having a car to get me somewhere A to B and all that stuff. And I was over here in South Park the other day, and this dude got off the bus and he had two big like Target paper bags, and I'm just like, damn, you really like, you had to go to Target, get these groceries, wait for the bus, and now you're walking home with these two big bags. And like, what if you forgot something?
Girl.
Or, what if they didn't have what you were looking for? It's not as simple as just like, it's not as simple as just like, well, let me run back to the store. It's like, no, you got to wait for a bus. And then like, sure, there's Instacart and like grocery apps, but like there's an added cost with that. If you can't afford a car, I'm probably not going to be able to really just afford the luxury of Instacart. Like, you know? So I was just thinking about that. And like, especially out here in Seattle with the rain, like I would hate to be having to commute anywhere.
The rain and the cold.
So just, there's lots of little things to be thankful for. And
absolutely.
And as bad as the year's been, we're not down bad
at all.
Yeah.
Winning, in fact.
Right.
Okay. We are like butterflies. Right now, we're caterpillars in our cocoons, but when we come out, baby,
we're in the cocoon.
It's a transition.
We're mush
baby.
right now. We're just a bunch of gel in this cocoon.
Yes. They also say that it always gets harder before it gets better, or something like that. I think 21 Savage said that, something like that.
21.
But
okay.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better, so we are on our way to much better. Yes or no?
Yes.
No, that's right.
My professional tip. Well, I'm gonna do like a sandwiching kind of thing, because again, I don't want to like damper the podcast or anything. And honestly, both of these things are not necessarily great, but my dad died last year, and that was one of my lowest lows. And it was really fast and like really unexpected. And we're not gonna spend too much time on that, because for those of you guys that like know me and like have like listened to the podcast and stuff, that relationship and just the history. So like, it's again very, very like nuanced, but that was something that happened last year. And again, like you said, testing and having new experiences and things thrown at you, just
Every day.
Every day. But yeah, I stopped working at the club, so I am no longer a bottle girl.
I was gonna ask you that.
I hung my fishnets up.
I kind of love that for you.
Yeah, no, it was like it just so it kind of goes hand in hand with my 9 to 5 too. So like I got laid off as well from my job, and I was there for almost 3 years. And it was one of those situations where it felt like a bit of like a blessing or like a relief, more so than like, damn, I really don't like have a job. It was just kind of a long time coming. I wasn't feeling fulfilled there for quite a while. And I think maybe after like the first year or so, it just kind of really became apparent that like, okay, no, this is not going to be a good place for me. But I never got it within myself to like do the work to try to find something else.
Right.
And all at the same time, I'm doing that 5 days a week, and I was doing bottle service like 1 to 2 days out of the week. So I'm working like 6 days a week, I'm making like decent money, but like I really just I need one job.
Right.
Yeah, I needed a break. I need one job, and I need it to be something that fulfills me.
Right.
And bottle service, it's crazy because it's not that it's like not fulfilling. It's definitely like, it's fun. It's a fun type of job, but I do feel like, and this is with any job, management really makes or breaks you, and just like the environment that you're in really can make or break you. And the place that I was at just needs a facelift. I mean, a huge like makeover. They need a lot of help there, so I just, with everything that was going on with me losing my job, my dad dying, it all kind of like happened at one time. I just didn't need to be in the club. Like, that's
I can feel that.
Yeah, it wasn't the place. It's not the place that like I need to be or wanted to be in. And like, granted, you're at work, so you're not like drinking or anything, but people still do. And it's going to be like easily accessible. And I just don't need to be in the club drunk or like potentially like crying or anything like that, just because I'm choosing to like grieve in an unhealthy way or something like that,
I can understand that.
Yeah. So on like the high side of that professionally, I've been leaning more into like my makeup and my creative side as far as that goes.
Yes, I've been loving this. She's been doing fashion shows and shit.
Yeah, okay. It's been really fun. I think I did 3 fashion shows last year. And that was really fun too, because it's like, I can do like traditional glam and like classic glam and all that kind of stuff, but I really do prefer the more like fun and like colorful and like editorial, like funky stuff. And I feel like in the fashion world or like fashion shows, it's that kind of perfect environment to like explore and play with those kinds of like creative sides. And so, yeah, I've been leaning into that. I've had a few like paid jobs through that. Going into 2024, like I've already done some makeup this year. I've got like 2 or 3 other scheduled ones just this month. Like,
okay,
it's really, and I've got another fashion show coming up that I'm doing makeup for. Like, it's just really, it's been validating. It's been really nice. And it's one of those things too, where it's like, it's completely up to me and on me how well I do in this, or like where I want to go with this. And I've never, ever had the kind of free time that I have right now. And so it's kind of like the perfect time for me to really lean into that and like, and push
it. Get this time back.
No, never. So I'm going to go ahead and go and get like certified, which you don't need to like do. But if I'm going to take myself seriously, I would very much rather like be able to present myself as a certified makeup artist and like present that to my clients or any potential clients and things like that. And then as far as like boring professional mediums, I do like, my wheelhouse is like human resources, HR, benefits, and that kind of stuff. And I do like enjoy that work. I don't hate it. I just think where I was previously working in that role wasn't the place for me. It wasn't filling my soul. So I do want to go back to school, update my like HR certification there, and get back into the workforce and like a different type of like organization or a different like structure, and really like spread my wings there in that way. So if all else fails with makeup, I at least have a solid backup plan with human resources.
Or makeup's gonna take off and you're gonna finally make that lip gloss you've been talking about for years.
Okay, it's so funny that you say that, because Viv literally the other day, like, she's got her own like brand and stuff that she's working on, and we're just talking about like other ways to generate income, or like things that might align with that. And she's made candles and stuff in the past, and she even mentioned that with me too. She's like, maybe like lip gloss or lipstick, and I was like, oh yeah, you said the magic word, because
yes,
I fucking love lip gloss. And anyone that knows me knows that I never not have lip gloss on me. So yes. It'll be fun to kind of see like, what that looks like, and developing that when I get, my branding and everything under control. So
that is so dope.
Yeah, I'm really excited about like the potential of where things are going to go for me professionally this year.
So now we're going to talk about our travel from 2023. And honestly, this deserves a section of its own, because we both traveled a whole hell of a lot last year.
A lot.
If we start just at the beginning of the year, we both went to Houston in January for my birthday. Woo woo, my 31st birthday. It was a lot of fun. We got to see a tiger. I love big cats, you guys. Like, I don't know what it is. I think I've always liked them since I was a kid, but like we saw a tiger and it was like cuddling a piece of wood. It was
real cute. No, it was so cute. I was like, are you putting on a show for us? Do you know that we're watching?
I did find it very interesting that they had a tiger at the Houston Aquarium,
Aquarium.
Because what?
Aquarium. It was like, I mean, they did have something written out. Like, it is a part of some like program. I think they're a part of some like conservation thing or whatever. So yes. I know that the like tiger, it's not staying there. Like, it doesn't live there forever, but it is weird that you have.
I was just like,
we're going to go to the aquarium to see the tiger. Okay.
No, like, and it was like at the end of the exhibit too, kind of towards the end, because the stingrays were the last thing that we saw. But it was like, you went through all the fish tanks, all this stuff. And then it was like tigers. I was like, that's interesting, but I'm also very excited.
The stingrays were fun. Like, I know everybody has their feelings about stingrays because of our guy Steve Irwin, R.I.P.
R.I.P. a real one.
But they were fun to touch. Like, they feel, I don't know how to describe what they feel like, but they were fun to touch. And they like, the way that they have it set up is like they, you can feed them. So they're used to that. And so they'll come right up to you. They'll like basically jump out of the water trying to get to you because they think that you have food.
Girl, it was a hard pass for me. But Jasmine was very brave.
Let's talk about you being brave on the Ferris wheel.
Oh my gosh, I don't know that I was brave. I was scared the whole time.
It's just funny because I didn't know that you had this fear, and the whole entire time I'm like, well, let's get on the Ferris wheel, let's ride it, I think it's free. And you're like, no, I don't know, I think you need a ticket. I don't know that it's open.
Like, finding every excuse to not get on, but saying, hey, I'm actually scared of Ferris wheels. It's weird. It's like, I'll get on them. I've definitely been on them before, but I am always just terrified when I'm on it. And why does it go so slow?
And we're like at the highest point before you're like, yeah, I don't actually really like these. I'm like recording. I'm like, be cute, say something. You're just like, I'm here.
Scared.
Literally.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but like, I get the weirdest just feeling at the very top of a Ferris wheel, and it's like slow and rocking back and forth. I don't know.
No, and I get it, because it's just, they're open. They're just like open. I think that's also why it's weird, because like I could go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I have gone back and forth of being able to do roller coasters. So like growing up, I always was like ready to be on a roller coaster. And then there was some point in time from like college to like early 20s where like I was terrified, like having an actual full-on anxiety attack. If I was, like,
oh wow,
stomach hurting, like real nervous, just kind of like in a cold sweat. It would still get on it. And like once I got on and off, I was like, I had a good time, but like the lead up was insane. So
I can understand that.
Yeah, like recently I went to Universal with my family, and I was actually surprised that like nothing there terrified me. So I was like, okay, so we're back to being able to do roller coasters.
Nice.
But not Ferris wheels. I have not gotten over that yet.
I
don't think I'm going to.
You know how in Vegas one of the hotels has the roller coaster on top.
Yes, I went on that one. That was the one I had I was like,
we went on that one, and we went for my 21st birthday, and we met some guys out there on the strip because of course that's just how Vegas works.
Vegas. Yeah.
And they wanted to hang out with us, whatever. And I wanted to ride on this roller coaster. Like that was part of my thing. And the whole time one of the guys is like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'll go with you guys, but I'm not going to. And just like, we're like, whatever, like, you'll be fine. Like, come on, let's just do it. He like faked a phone call from his mom and like started crying while we were like waiting in line because he really didn't want to. He really did not
say that.
That's what I'm saying. And it was just like it's okay. Like I understand that we're kind of like, no, just come on. Like, but like we're not gonna shun you. We're not gonna like not talk to you if you don't. Like it's okay if you don't want to.
Right.
We're just
you don't have to lie to kick
it. Yeah, like we'll give you shit. Like it's so like just come on. But we're not actually going to make you write it with us. Like
that is so funny. That is wild.
Crying. Like I'm talking like back against the wall, head in the hand, sliding down the wall, like like
oh, I would have had so many questions. Like what happened?
Crying. No, somebody like somebody better be dead.
You know what I'm saying?
Crying that you're doing, somebody better be dead.
Because somebody get them an Oscar.
You don't want to ride a roller coaster?
That's wild. That's a character right there. What else did we do? Oh, so there was a lot of international travel this year. I kicked it off in April. I went to I didn't personally have a lot of international, but we personally both had international travel. I started off in Cartagena in April for Breezy's birthday. It was amazing. It's the first time I've ever been to South America. I want to go back. It's very like relaxed living. Everybody's very nice. The one thing that I like was very surprised by, but that like I honestly love is that going there, they're like, it's a touristy country. So you should be fine not knowing Spanish. Baby, they lied.
Oh no.
And like, it's not bad. Like some people do speak English, but it is very far and few in between. And they're also, I feel like in Mexico, it's very touristy and they try to work with you. And have learned
Here, they
English.
Don't care.
They're like, you're going to learn Spanish today. And I love that.
No, same. That's what it was like in Spain. Like, and traveling with Viv in Spain as a vegetarian, like it was so hard because a lot of places will do tapas, and tapas comes with all kinds of stuff. You don't really like, you can't really order it. They just bring it out to you. Right. And she was trying to tell them like, no meat, no meat. And one of the plates that he gave us, he was like, all for you. Like, I got you guys. And it was just like a meat pie, like salami, pastrami. Viv couldn't eat any of it. She couldn't have any of it. We were like, oh, gracias, I guess. Thank you.
I'm weak. Yeah, but I thought that was so cool. Like I really appreciated that experience, and it was a really good trip. I just feel like we got to do a lot of different things. We went to I'm gonna butcher this because I did not prep for this, but we went to the Palenque, which is a village that's like an hour or so away from Cartagena. We took a bus out there, and they are like the very first. They're like a colony of slaves that were freed back in like the 1600s. So they've been there since then, and so they're like African. Like they're very modest living. So like kind of like hut style. I would say stucco even maybe. But they're living off the land, like making all their own food and stuff. And like when we were there, they were like, yeah, they didn't even have coronavirus touch them because they're so closed off and like away from tourists and other people that like the only people that are there are like people who from there.
Literally, that makes sense.
It was just very interesting because they had artwork around, and it was all Black people, and like they had a Black Lives Matter sign, and it was very interesting because it's like we're so far away from home, but we feel exactly like we're at home. And even some of the girls, they're from Africa, they were like, I feel like I'm back in Africa. And it's
Mm.
very, very like interesting. And I was just very like happy to have that experience. Like that was very cool to be a part of.
It's cool to see too that they've lasted this long and like and been able to hold on to that history and like that culture, like
Absolutely.
being that isolated, because that's especially in countries that get colonized, like, you know, like you were saying, they were former slaves, like they generally lose all of that. And I also really love seeing in places that, like, I don't know, I wish I would see it, I would see it more with, like, you know, the Dominican people, but like Black lives do matter. And like, even though you're not,
girl,
you know, American Black, or you're not like African Black, you are still a Black person. Just because you don't speak English or whatever, you guys are still Black.
If you were able to, if you ask them, like, I don't want to say like what are they, but if you ask them what's their race, they say Black.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was very, I was like, wow, like, not, I don't know, it's just very interesting to be so far away from home. And like, they also don't speak Spanish, they speak like a mixture of Portuguese and like Swahili, I think it was. And so, that's like, really they cool. Gave us like little cards so that we could speak some of the languages, like hello, goodbye, and like, I think it was like good day
in their time,
in their language. And
nice,
that was really cool. I was just like very in awe. I really love, I think that's like my favorite thing about traveling, is learning about different cultures and countries and immersing myself in it. You know, we got to see a lot of stuff that was like kind of sad too, because, you know, in these countries they're a lot poorer than we are. Yeah. And so you can just see where, like, because it's touristy, there are parts that are being gentrified, and then like right on the outside there's people living in like essentially shacks, you know. And I'm like, I don't know, it's interesting because obviously I'm part of the problem as well, but I'm also one of the tourists, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm asking all these questions, like, why is it such a large gap in wealth, or, you know what I'm saying, or economically, because why is it that we've got this full stretch and flat, but like right next, that doesn't make sense to me. But it was I hear you, enlightening trip. I had an amazing time. It was beautiful. I want to go back. That was my only international. I was about to get on a tangent, and girl, I forgot. We got so much more to talk about, and you still have to tell us about your Eurotrip. So,
well, I was just gonna say, since you're talking about Cartagena, I feel like I want to touch on my Europe trips, because like just the feelings that you're talking about, and just like the history and being like, you know, completely engulfed in that. I feel like I had the same kind of like experience being in those places as well. Like, we went for Vivian's birthday, and it was my very first time in Europe ever. So like, I don't really know what to expect, but our first stop was Lisbon, Portugal. And
I've heard great things.
Yeah, it was great. And like, you know, we spent a few days there. We stayed and then we went to Spain, and we were on our trip for probably a total of like, I think 10 days, maybe like 11 days. And even though Alfama, or like Lisbon, was our first stop, I think throughout the whole entire trip, I kept coming back to it. I was like, no, this was my favorite like stop. Like, it's beautiful. The people there are beautiful. It is so rich with their history and their culture. And like, you know, when you really do put it into perspective, like the US, like, yeah, we're, as American people, are super prideful and proud of our history. It doesn't go back that far at all.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, at all. Yeah. Whereas you go to these countries, and they go back like thousands of years, like hundreds of years, and just like they have structures that have been standing since like the 17th, 18th century. Just right. And just how like I think what's really stood out to me too with being in Lisbon was like, it is a very popular touristy spot, and like, yes, they'll cater to the tourists in the sense of like, you know, you can go on your tour guided groups, and you know, they're really known for this type of music called like fado, and there's certain restaurants and places that will specialize in that kind of stuff, and they cater to tourists. Like, you know, the prices are going to be super expensive, like whatever.
Of course.
But they're also very much like, you know, they very much let you know that you are a guest here. Like, like, yes, we want this and we know that it's good for like economy and stuff, but like, this is the history here, this is how things work, like this is what these people do, and that's kind of like that, you know. And I really like that because they really want to preserve that history there. And
Right.
like you know, very similar to like what's kind of going on in New York and California with just like the Airbnb like restrictions with those kinds of things. So in Lisbon itself, they have a situation like that too, where only like certain marked like businesses and establishments are approved to do like the Airbnb stuff, to prevent it from becoming inundated with like the tourists and people who are just buying up land and not actually like living there.
They're
You
doing
know,
that
like,
in Atlanta as well, like in actual
yeah,
city
they just
limits.
they really want to very much keep like Lisbon. They really want to keep it their own place, which I love, you know. And
Absolutely. But that's like the one thing you
yeah,
have to do with these places, because they've been around. Like, we have to
right, that's
preserve
right.
this history.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. But it was beautiful. We got to see dolphins. Like
Oh, I love a dolphin.
we went on a boat tour, and they just, you know, talked about some of the old like castles and things along the like waterfront, and we just happened to be at a good time of day, and the dolphins, like, they got curious and they're swimming under the boat, they're like kind of jumping over, like it was one of those experiences where you're like, is this real right now? Like
Yeah. I
is this
love
actually,
dolphins.
yeah, it was,
They're so smart
was,
and just
they
like,
are. Well, and that's what we saw them in the distance and we were like, oh, that's cool. We were just okay with that. But the tour guide was like, you know, sometimes they get curious. They might like come and play with the boat. And sure enough, they see who's out there and they kind of like are going around being curious, like hopping over, like, what's going on over here? Who's over here?
putting
Like,
on a
it was,
show.
yeah, no, it was super, super cool. And then another thing that I want more people to like think about or like explore when they do go to international places is looking into excursions or like things to do on Airbnb
Oh, yes.
outside of just like the basics, like, oh, you know what, this is like a touristy trap or whatever. But in Portugal, we were able to find a like private chef who was going to cook us like a traditional Portuguese like dinner from scratch. And like
Mm.
there was Vivian and I and two other people. So like very private. They gave us, you know, drinks with every like course. There was like appetizer, courses, dessert, and everything, and tells you a little bit about like the history and all that stuff. And I love that because when you go on vacations and travel in different places, you don't think about doing stuff like that. But I'm really happy and glad that we did. It was definitely a memorable thing. Tried stuff that you wouldn't never normally like try, and it's a great way too to like guarantee that, because it was like a private dinner, we could put in air dining restrictions. And so Viv was able to like eat the same meals as we were, but just with accommodations for like her
That's
vegan
nice.
tastes and things. Yeah. So international travel, definitely look into that because you'll also meet really great locals that way too. Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool. But just also like Spain, hands down, I feel like some of the most beautiful like castles and scenery that I've ever seen. Just the history behind it, and just like, I mean, and also I can't wrap my mind around how these people lived in these castles and things back in the day, because they were these like, you know, castles are built on the top of mountains, basically, like very large hills. They're not easy to get to, and they do that for good reason, you know, whatever. But like, how do they get everything into the castle? They're getting furniture, you know, all these kinds of things in the castle up this very steep inclination using what? Carriages and wagons?
Maybe.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just, it really is mind blowing, because we're walking up these and we're struggling. We're having to take breaks, like,
Horses?
because our, huh?
Horses?
Horse. Well, yes, but still, like, girl, they're almost like, you're pretty much going like vertical. Like,
How
you're
much
almost
land? How much land is around the castle? Like, do you think maybe they built the furniture like there at like a barn in
right
the back?
That's true, right. But like, still just getting it up there, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just it's super cool. I definitely I recommend in Spain like going to Malaga That's a place that we stayed in. Malaga was beautiful. It's close enough to like water. And then I think the other place that we stayed in, I'm probably gonna be mad when she hears this because I don't think we actually stayed there, but Majorca. Maybe that was the place that we talked about staying, but Malaga, Majorca, just go to Spain, check it out. It was fantastic.
I've heard great things about Spain too.
And we fell in love with Tinto Verano, which is literally just red wine and lemonade. Ooh. It's like half and half. Yeah, it's so good, girl. And it's just like, just take like a sweet red with lemonade. It's so good. I had some on a beach topless.
Ooh.
Period.
That
Amazing.
Sounds really good.
It was a great time.
Sounds like sangria.
It is pretty
or like
much
an Arnold
like a sangria.
Palmer. Wine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So travel, we've had a lot of travel going on. Is there anything else high level you want to touch on? I know
mainly. Go ahead. I was gonna say last year my 30th birthday was lit. It was so much fun. It was a Barbie themed birthday. You guys, we're gonna talk about the Barbie movie because that was a huge part of 2023 as well. Which is why it inspired my birthday to be that. But yes. High level, that was so much fun to plan and just to like see how everyone showed up for me and like wanted to be on theme. And Viv helped, coordinate a lot of stuff for my birthday. Really could not have done it without her. But it was so much fun. I never 30, everyone talks about like, 30 is the time, whatever. I don't know. I feel great. I love it. I was very much looking forward to 30 and it's not been so bad.
I'm trying to tell you, didn't I say this? I said this. Everybody's like, you're getting old. I'm like, first of all, my grandma always says, if you're not getting old, you're getting dead. So true. I'll get older.
That is true.
Thank you.
Let me get old, please.
Please and thank you. Also, I just feel like it's getting better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. No, I definitely feel like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm going to make my 30s my bitch, for real.
You hear me? Because things make sense now and you're making a little bit better financial decisions, or you're making better money or something, things are just starting to align a little bit more in your 30s.
Yeah, and just realistically lived real world experience. When you think about it, high school and college, it slowly prepares you for that. But as far as lived experience on my complete own as an adult, I'm there. I'm ready. My 20s prepped me for my 30s, and I'm ready to kick some ass.
Hell yeah. So I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't. Yes, 30s is it. They're in. Now, do I go to bed early? Absolutely. And I'm in nobody's club. Don't even ask me.
No, literally.
Somebody asked me what club I was going to for my birthday. I said, I am not going to nobody's club.
Right. People still do that.
I know they do, but I don't want to be out there with them.
It's it's a fun idea. It's cute to stop by and for a few drinks and stuff. But I'm so past that buying a table and bottles and I'm so over it. I'm so
for me, I'll do it if I'm out international or in a different city.
Vegas, where it makes sense.
Right. But I'm still, even with all of that in mind, I would rather be in a lounge than anybody's nightclub. I don't want to be in a club. I want to be able to sit down
and do some hookah. You want to wear your cute sitting heels.
Yes. Shoot, I might not even wear heels because half the time, walking from the car to where you're going, we'll see.
Crying.
But for me, I did a lot of national travel. I went to Houston a few times, 3 times this year, Kentucky a couple of times, Florida multiple times for bachelorette parties and just hanging out. I had somebody flew me out to Florida this year. That was really cool.
She got flued out.
It was really fun. We friends, it's not even like that, but it was a mad cool time. We just vibed out, and then I came back and we partied in Miami, and that was a lot of fun too.
Oh God, that was quick.
Girl, I'm just gonna try and wrap it up because we gotta get to the biggest things that happened in 2023.
We do. No, let's do it. I would say high level for me, I went to Canada twice, big whoop. there. Did New York very quickly. Did Texas twice because one was for Beyonce.
Yeah.
And that was really like, similar, very much it. Once you've done, New York, no offense. I did Atlanta too, but that was a very weird time for me. I don't even really I don't think about the festival being in Atlanta. I was like, oh yeah, I guess we did go to Georgia for that, huh?
I'm weak.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this recap of 2023 because there's a lot
Yes,
of fun pop culture things to touch on.
girl.